Hi, we're here with Jim Charles. He's a channeler and a good friend of mine. Welcome, Jim.
Thank you. It's good to be here.
Good to see you. It's been a while.
Yes, lots happened.
Yes. What would you like to discuss today? What's been going on with you and the ETs you're in contact with?
Well, as you know, all the time there's more people that we contact, and it's an amazing thing. But right now, I think a lot of the focus is on Elijah. He's one of the newer ones that has come along, but he has a lot of very strong messages. He has a lot of very spiritual messages and things of that nature. And a lot of people have been relating to him very, very strongly. So I find
Uh,
that very interesting for this day and age.
who's Elijah? I haven't heard of him.
Elijah was an Old Testament prophet, but he's come back in a sort of a newer capacity. He's telling people about basic truths and things of that nature.
Mm-hmm.
So it's been very interesting. Also, the white magic is something new that's different with us now. And Corkellen and Merlin, or Merline as he likes to be called, are teaching white magic classes now, and that's very interesting. We just finished one last night.
Hmm. And how did you come to channel, and how did you get into this beautiful program that you do?
Oh, the beginnings way back when.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Yeah, I used to be a Reiki master, but before I was even a Reiki master, I was a Reiki practitioner, and I went to Reiki Share at Diane and Gary Snyder's house, and they were always so energetic, and I wanted to learn how to do it, and so I started to do Reiki, and I became a practitioner. Now, Max Rempel was somebody that I used to work on occasionally, but he liked the way I did the healing, so he sort of hired me to do weekly uh, Reiki on him. When I started doing Reiki on him, I felt some interesting energies. But when I went to his home, after a while, I started hearing voices when I did Reiki on him. And long story short, after the first time I heard the voices, they were telling me how to perform the Reiki on him in a better way. And I was going, Max, there's someone talking in my head, and they're telling me how to do Reiki on you better. And he goes, oh, you're in touch with the aliens that have been around my house for since 2008 or whatever. And I was sort of like, okay, that's interesting. That's not exactly what I expected to hear him say, but it's exactly what he said. So the next couple of weeks, I did my regular Reiki at his house. I would always go to his house to do the Reiki. I would play with his dogs first and then do Reiki on him. I started to hear these voices again, and they were saying how to do Reiki on him, how to touch him, what to align with my person. And I'm going, Max, they're doing it again. And he's laying on the table. And you realize after someone's laying on the table in Reiki, they're very relaxed. And he's like, uh-huh. So I said, they're talking to me. And he goes, well, let me ask them a question. And I said, okay. So he asked them a question, and it was about molecules and science and things of that nature. And I figured, well, if they're going to answer this question, they're going to tell me what to say, and I'm going to tell him what to say. But that isn't what happened. It just came right through. I started talking directly at Max, and they were giving him all this information about molecules and plants and all kinds of information. And he's going, No, don't stop, because it must have been my eyes were very big because I didn't know what was happening. But it just kept coming out. It just kept coming out. And he goes, don't stop, don't stop. It's really good. So that was my first experience with channeling. And after it was over, he gave me some Bashar tapes to listen to. And so I was going, what is a channeler? I didn't even know what it was, because it was something, I grew up in a very religious background. And so they were not exactly talking about people channeling, or in fact, it was something that was a no-no, and you shouldn't even get involved with it. And I didn't know anything about it, really. So that's how it all began. And then after that, every time I came to give him a Reiki session, there would be a cassette player hanging over the table so that he could record everything that was said if I were to channel again. Then the next couple weeks, there was a video camera there, and he was starting to video everything that I said. So it started off very early that everything was recorded. So if I was with anybody else, that would never have happened.
Yeah, I sometimes messages come in to me as well from ETs, and it's either telepathic, or there's one entity called Zygor. He's reptilian insectoid hybrid. He doesn't speak English at all. So if I give him permission, he just talks through me, but in reptilian, and it's guttural, and can't understand anything. So if somebody else is in the room, I have to then listen to him first, talk to me through reptilian in a male voice, and then once he's done, translate it into English to make it understandable. Telepathically, I know what the translation is, but if people are around and they want to know what he's saying, it's a very intricate two-way process.
Yes, that's very interesting. Yes, if you're channeling in another language and nobody knows what you're saying, to interpret, you can't do that until you're done with the conversation. Mm-hmm. Or the language. And that happens with me too, every now and then, not very often. Usually what happens is other people speak their language, and they allow me to interpret it.
Mm-hmm. Well, Zygor says for some reason, he doesn't want to learn English, and that's fine. I guess some ETs are comfortable with their own language. I mean, he tried a few words telepathically to speak to me, but it comes out so weird. He's like, I find your language weird. It's so, it's not adaptable. It's primitive. He's like, it's not exciting. Reptilian is flamboyant.
It is, and guttural, and very expressive.
Mm-hmm. Very expressive. So if Zygor ever comes through and it's people that I trust that are in the room with me, understand what's going on, I'll say, okay, well, he's coming through. He has something to say to me. And if you just be aware he's coming, and I will not sound like female Ileana anymore. I will sound like a male reptilian hybrid.
Yes. Exactly. They changed my voice as well to fit their personalities. Sometimes they use, they use your personality if you're speaking in English to represent themselves. And they choose what they want to sound like. It's not always what they really sound like, but what they want to sound like so that humans will listen to them. So that I find interesting as well, because sometimes they come through as these posh English people, and you go, well, why is it that so many of them like that? And they said to me, it's an accent that sounds intelligent, and people listen to it. So that's why they want to do it. They said, it sounds intelligent. So they like that.
Because they have their own personalities and they observe us from up there, and they pick up what's popular, what's interesting, and
Yes,
they can mimic that.
absolutely.
Mm. What's going on with the CARE and Girk-Fitneer alliance?
The care.
To CARE.
Oh, to care. She's doing wonderfully. She comes and gives us updates every now and then on how the colonies are doing. They've added a colony, the meditation colony, just within the last 6 to 8 months, where people can come and do meditations of all different kinds. There's 12 different meditation rooms. They can do group meditations, guided meditations, solo meditations, or just with the people that they want to be with. It's a very new concept that to help people get into deeper meditation and bring that concept back to the earth so that they can receive more information, remember more, and do all those kinds of things that they are really pushing humans to do.
And this, when humans go up there, right?
Yes.
Does Takara represent herself as the Lyran, that she is the cat, the big cat,
Yes.
or something else now?
No, she does. She does show herself as the big cat for those that are familiar with her. Now, she does put on a little bit more of a disguise for those that she is afraid she might frighten. But for the most part, she's very much herself, and I like that about her.
Yes.
She's very genuine, very grounded, and very compassionate, loving, and kind. I just think she's just like a motherly figure to the Earth people, and she's definitely a wonderful ambassador.
How is Tepech doing?
Tepe is excellent. He is also advancing himself as time goes on. He's using the Eliyaha. I don't know if you've ever heard of them. The Eliyaha is a very advanced seventh dimensional group that travels around the universe, helping different solar systems and species and things. And he is learning some things from them, and so he's advancing his own technology for the sake of humanity.
And I remember you said he's half Pleiadian and half something else, or?
Um, you know, I get them all confused, except because there's so many up there now that I talk to. I don't always remember what species they are, but I think that he is Tepe is Ugil and combination, mostly Ugil, I think, but maybe partially Pleiadian as well. Because on the bridge there's Rojo and Takur and Tepe and Dizdu and Pentim, and there's several of them on there, and it's hard to remember all their different species. But they have now friendly reptilians, Octurians, and Fendorians, and it's becoming a very big mishmash up there.
And how did you come into contact with the Girk-Fitneer Alliance?
Well, actually, they were the very first people I channeled. Dizdu, Dizdu Dadida, or however he pronounces his name. It's very similar to that, but not exactly. But he is the captain of the ship that is one of the ships that is around North America. And when I did my first channeling with Max, that's who came through, was Dizdu.
Mm-hmm. And how have you found your life has changed with the channeling and stuff?
A great deal. This is something that I didn't expect. It was unforeseen before that. If you'd have told me a year before that I'd be a channeler and making a living doing it in a couple years, I would have said, who are you? And you need to be locked up somewhere. So, but once it started, it just snowballed. And then I started to do public appearances, and I started to do webinars, and this was all because of Max. I have to give him the credit, because I would have never done that on my own. I would have never said, hey, I need to go out and channel in the public. In fact, when he told me, I was going, I don't know. I don't think that I'm ready to do that. Sure you are. Sure, that'll give you great practice. I'm going, I don't know. That sounds a little scary to me. So the very first time I channeled in public, I had prepared a whole new lesson just in case nobody came through. So I prepared this in case, if nobody came through, at least I'd have something to say. So, but somebody did come through, and that was Lakesh. Lakesh is a Pleiadian.
Yeah, they always come through. There's always somebody waiting that's positively aligned energy to bring in a message. Always. Always.
It was like, oh, please, please don't let me down. So.
But you always have your team. They'll never let you down. That's the beauty
of them. Oh, no, not
them.
now. I have no fear whatsoever. I stopped preparing things a long, long time ago. And I know that they will come through, and I'm very fortunate, and I feel very blessed that I have some of these really beautiful aliens and spirits around me that are very wise and understanding, and it's just, they bring through some of the most amazing messages.
People often ask, well, they speak to us telepathically, they speak to us through channeling. Will they ever physically make themselves appear? And what do you say to that?
I say when they're allowed to appear, they will. I do think that. Our governments really restrict anything like that happening because they are actually afraid of the aliens being more popular than them, I think. I don't think that they're afraid of them attacking because they've known that they've been there so long, and if they were going to attack, they would have done it already. But they're afraid that they're going to steal their thunder, their popularity, their finances, whatever it is. They're going to become more popular, and they're going to become less popular, and so they're worried about that.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure ETs don't want our finances or politics or religions.
Well, they've all actually told me, we don't want to rule your world. We have our own places to rule. We're having enough trouble doing our own thing. Why would we want to take on a responsibility as dire as your planet? Of course, we want to help you, and we want to guide you, and we want to direct you and give you as much counseling as we can, but we do not want to take over. That's the last thing we want. So they really have expressed that to me, saying, no, we don't want the earth. We want to help you with it. We want you to become part of our neighborhood. We want you to come out and help us, and we can help you, but we don't want to rule your earth. That's for you to do. And so far, you haven't done very well. So that's why we need to help you.
So more of like giving us an education and cleaning up the planet, stopping the wars, those kinds of things, and soul education as well?
Well, they do it without being hands-on. Let me tell you what that means. I'm sure you already know. But they are the kinds that say, we can give them information. If they choose to ignore it, then they have to clean up their own mess. But we can tell them what will happen if they do this. If you do this, this is what will happen. And if you don't do this, then you save yourself. Many times, the buttons were about to be pushed for nuclear war. And they whispered, and it has to be 3 people. There's 3 keys that have to be turned at once. They whispered in the ear of one of those 3 people, this is what will happen if you turn that key. And one of the 3 did not turn the key twice now.
Yeah, so it stops. So sometimes the voices that we're hearing in our heads, it's not ourselves, it's not schizophrenia, it's not bipolar disorder, it's other beings coming through
Exactly.
to say something.
Exactly. And they do make themselves heard when they need to, because they will pick the most sensitive of the three. And sometimes that can be difficult. But they pick the most sensitive, the one that they know that will have the greatest logic about that situation. And they will say, don't do it. This is what will happen. But it's up to you. We cannot make your decision for you. You must make the decision. But we are asking you to make the right one. And that is not turn the key.
Yeah. Or sometimes I've heard that actual craft appear over missile
Oh, yeah.
silos and stop it.
Yes. But you know what? They send out the opposite informations. They'll say, "Oh, it was them that started this, and so that's why they're there. This is why that's why they're appearing over these um, power plants, is because they caused them to explode or whatever." But they're actually helping to clean it up. You know, they didn't actually help it explode. But the news from some humans would be, oh, they caused it, but that's not the truth.
Yeah, a lot of the times they just fly over the silos, the missile silos, and just turn it off, and nothing can launch.
Yes, yes, and if whispering in their ear doesn't help, then they deter it for a while.
Mm-hmm. I mean, there's an extraterrestrial that I talk to telepathically who's partially my higher self, and she always gives me wisdom and always shows me sometimes future events.
Yes,
So, very
that's
interesting.
what Elijah does for me, is shows me some future events, but I cannot tell anybody. I'm not allowed to let that out. I'm not allowed to even give you an inkling of what they said. But if they come through and say that there's going to be something to happen this year or whatever, I allow them to say what they need to say. But I don't ever say it on my own.
Because it could change the future, literally,
Absolutely.
if there's some intervention or something. I mean, if it's for yourself that they tell you about your future, then you know how to navigate it, traverse it to the
Yes,
best outcome that you can.
correct.
So, and they'll never tell you when you're going to die or when you have an
No,
accident or how or why or when.
no, never. That is something part of your own destiny and your own choosing. If you believe that you create your own realm, your own destiny, and your own uh, world, then they do not interfere with that.
Mm-hmm.
They may warn you as a guide, but you have to make the decision. They're not the decision maker. You are the decision maker.
Yes, yeah. And I mean, some of us work with all our five senses and beyond, and some of us just work with a few senses on, and we don't turn on the telepathy or the psionics or whatever. So there's different levels of where we're at as humans as well.
Yes. The thing is, there are opportunities for us to turn those other things on, but sometimes it would be too much to have all those things happening in your life. I stick with the channeling and the Reiki. There's a few other things that happen occasionally, only when necessary, and I don't call on them for everyday use or even yearly use. So
Yeah, I had an interesting experience. I recently worked with, I started doing healing, energetic healing,
yes,
and I had the Calypsy Raw come in, which are grays from Cygnus star system. And
Mm-hmm.
they gave me healing symbols, and they said, we'll join in through those symbols and attune the person, and through you do the healing, provide the energy, our energy through you, and connect to the person that needs the healing. And I had a group of 20 of them come in. So I could see them telepathically, and I could hear like little whispers, but not really like talking, but I could feel what's going on through the energy, through the healing coming in.
Excellent. Yes, many of our alien friends help us during our healing times and healing experiences. I call on whoever wants to help. I'll say, when I'm not doing my galactic energy healing, I'll call on those that are experts in whatever I'm working with. I'll say, if there's any experts on shoulder pain, back pain, liver pain, or whatever is going on, I'll call for the experts. And they can come through and give a greater amount of healing energy for that area because they know how to deal with it better. So I just let them do the work. I put my energy in it, of course, but not enough to deplete myself. But I call on the universe, Mother Gaia, and all the aliens and spirits that will help me in a positive way.
And each person might be different in terms of what kind of healing they need. So that's why different ETs come in for that.
Exactly.
Because sometimes a person might get a healing and they say, I still have this pain, I still have this whatever physically is going on. And I guess another ET might come in who better understands human physiology and work on that, or do a download infusion, right?
Of course. Yes, and sometimes you get open up your third eye so that you can see what's going on a little bit. I mean, not fully, because that would be maddening, but they show you what's going on in the body so that you can actually go to the right place and put the energy right in the correct and exact position that it needs to be.
I remember when you helped me through channeling Taker and Tapech and removed the nanite from my body, and there was infusions involved. How does that work?
The infusions are mostly from technology. They have ways of taking vibration, energy, and even medication at times and putting it in infusions that will help humans. Most of the times they can help humans with infusions through great energy and vibration, which changes the negativity, such as the illness within you has a certain vibration. And with that vibration, they can pinpoint it and change that vibration into a positive vibration so that that disease dissipates more easily and is washed out through the system with drinking plenty of water and the right fluids, et cetera, et cetera. So they can actually, with energy and with vibration, pinpoint the disease and break it up. And some of them actually just beam it out, and other ones just let it go through the system and go out naturally. It depends on the species and what they're doing.
Yeah, I found it fascinating because it actually really alleviated a lot of my physical symptoms.
Good. That's amazing. That's what we're here for. That's what we're all here for, is to help one another and to make sure everybody's getting what they need. So I give them the glory for that, because I'm just the tool that they use to put that energy through. But they're the ones that actually do it.
Yes, I agree. Because when I do energy healing on my own, for others, it's powerful. But when they come in, it's so much more.
Absolutely.
Just
Absolutely. They're so in tune. They make themselves in tune with the body. They make themselves in tune with the spiritual aspects of it too. They don't want anything to be out of place. They don't want to discombobulate you in any way. So that is a pure energy and vibrational healing, many, many times. And if they do have to add antibiotics of any sort, it's always very mild, because their antibiotics are so much more powerful. And humans, if they had a full dose of that, would be like, they couldn't handle it. So they only do very small doses of their kinds of medication. Plus, they don't want to injure any other parts of the body.
Yeah, for sure. I've had experience of telepathic care do that to me. Not antibiotics, but medical infusions for sure.
Yes, absolutely.
So that
They're
felt
very
great.
good at it. They've gotten even more advanced these days. They're able to do more things than they used to do. Some people are unaffected by it, which I can understand, and other people are totally cured, and healed. I believe something to do with your belief system has to do with it as well.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, it helped me. It alleviated a lot of my physical pain, but it also inspired me to work on myself as well,
Good.
to actually start doing hypnosis and to find what had been done to me with reptilian abductions, the 16 back secret space program on Mars, because a lot of the physical and emotional pain and trauma had to do with dealing with that in a very specific plasma regimen that I'm doing now here on Earth.
Yes.
That helps with the medical stuff quite a bit. I'm far better off now than I ever was before, but it was a journey. So
yes, it always is in some ways.
Yeah, sometimes they help and heal, but if it's not cured, then there could be something more that's part of it.
The thing that I found out is those people that are most useful to mankind are the ones that they put stops on as much as they can, put blocks in their way as much as they can, because they don't want the ascension process and the acceleration of the human race to go forward. They would rather keep you here in a place where they can manipulate you much better, instead of having you advance where they can't control you as well. So it's all about control and manipulation still. And when there are people that are advanced, such as yourself, they cannot handle it. They have to try to stop you from doing all the things that you do, from communicating all the ways that you do, from healing all the ways that you do. Your information is vital to the earth.
And so is yours. I always find if I'm doing healing on myself and others, if symptoms are alleviated and improve, great. If there's been a little bit of help, but the thing's still there, or it comes back, to look within for the answers as well, not just to expect the ETs or the healer to heal you. Sometimes there's more going on as well, internally and externally in the person.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
That they need to work on. Like for me, I worked with many healers to get healing, and I worked on others to heal. And I always find nuances. Every person is different, and every person needs different approaches. And they gotta, if they're not receiving enough healing, or they don't get a cure, they expect it, they gotta ask themselves, well, why? What else is going on with me that I need to work on here on Earth as well? Not just to depend on healers and ETs for everything, because they can help, but sometimes, if you have something within the soul that you need to work on, that's
Absolutely.
your responsibility too.
Absolutely. If you need some purification, a healer can't just walk over to you and purify you, because this is something that you have to be in agreement with. This is something you have to know about. This is something that you must work on yourself to alleviate. And some of those things you must go through a little work to do, because there's a lesson involved in removing it.
Mm-hmm. and also understanding what it is that you want removed.
Exactly. And so I can't walk over to anybody. I may be able to see it or know what it is, but I can't tell them to get rid of it. I can't say, I'm getting rid of this for you now. You must work on this, and then I may be able to help you get rid of it with the help of others later.
Yeah, exactly. I always ask why. What's the lesson behind everything?
Yes, really. I think it is the karma of this world. We as we grow, collect our karma, and we've made our decisions. We have to learn to deal with all the things that we have done, and in doing so, that's a healing in itself. But it allows the energy to work much greater with us.
And what have you found for yourself? Like we haven't chatted for ages, so what's new with you? What's going on?
In what respect?
Just life in
uh,
general.
I just am very, very busy right now, and I have a friend visiting now from Illinois, and a lot of people have come to visit me since I talked to you last time, from Denmark, from Canada, from many places around the world. It's really fun to meet these people face to face. I just love them, and it's just a wonderful, wonderful thing that to be doing right now, is to giving the message out. Of course, there are those that are not your fans out there as well, and they will try to discredit you and do those things. But you know what? I don't even worry about that anymore, because I know that there is something for me to do, and I will continue to do it. But I just love the fact that I'm able to do what I'm doing, as well as the Reiki. And I'm able to travel. Last year we went to Peru and went to Machu Picchu, to Lake Titicaca, the stargates, the sacred valleys. It was amazing. It was an amazing, amazing trip. We went to Cusco and saw many of the ruins down there. And I channeled in the ruins some of the history that was never recorded from those areas. So that is not been released. We still have all that film that has to be gone through and put into a little documentary. But one day that will be done.
Did you get to see Amaru Muru near Lake Titicaca by any chance?
What is it?
Amaru Muru, the Stargate portal that has...
Yes, we went there.
How was that?
It was wonderful. Oh, I have to tell you a little funny story about that. We went there, and we went up on the side of the hill. The Stargate itself is like a very flat wall with some with some holes in it, and striations on it from where they beamed in and out. But we were on the side of the mountain, and also there is a what are they called, that holds the energy of obelisk. So the obelisk has been worn away, but I could see that it was there. We sat on the side of the hill and observed a bus come in, and we had heard a rumor that just recently, within the last 6 months or so, somebody had actually activated that Stargate, and it was a medicine man or someone of that nature. They were able actually to get it started, and then for a while it was closed off. Nobody was allowed to go there, but it was opened up when we got there. But this bus full of people came up, and one by one, they would go over to the middle where there's this interesting shaped keyhole kind of thing, and they would scream in it to try to activate it. So each person had their own method. of trying to activate this stargate. And some of them were speaking English, some of them were just screaming, some of them were speaking other languages. But it was so funny to watch them do this because we were sitting up on the side of the mountain and they would come up to the stargate and go, "Awaken!" And or they would say, "Oh, so open sesame," and all kinds of things that wouldn't work because I was being channeled right there by Ish. Ish told me they have to know the galactic language to open this stargate. And they also, in order for it to work for them, they have to have their DNA in it. So it's not going to work.
Yep.
But
I never physically went there, but astrally I did, and I did go under Amaru Muru. And there's a lot of goodies there. There's some interesting technology like wormhole device that opens up, black hole device that opens up. The golden disk of moon is there as well. So, and it can recalibrate things.
There's also a couple guardians that are behind the wall.
Yeah.
And they change, it's like a guard. And they change out every now and then. But we were able to sense at every stargate that we saw, there were those there that guard the guardians. So Angie, one of my friends, was there, and she was able to sense behind some of the other stargate walls, which weren't marked as stargates, but were our stargates, that there were people there, aliens there guarding it. And it makes a lot of sense because if anything were to happen, they would be there to take care of it.
And you're completely right. It takes your DNA to be properly aligned in frequency and signature to open it, and light language that has to be recognized by the portal and the ones guarding it. Astrally, I was able to go inside. Now, I didn't travel through the portal to another planet. I went under the portal system because there's tunnels there and there's all kinds of things there.
I wish I could do that.
Well, it was just astral, but I saw a lot of things, and I was meant to go there because somebody was actually placed a long time ago. That portal was messed with 2 million years ago, and Greys accessed it and put somebody in stasis there, trapped somebody. And that being...
They did that in Machu Picchu as well. One of the channeling sessions in Machu Picchu was releasing spirits from the stones because they had put them there as guardians, but they needed to be released at this point because they were no longer serving the same thing that they were put there for. And so I released many of them from the stones at Machu Picchu.
Well, the lady that was trapped there, Pleiadian Andromedan hybrid, she was trapped in stasis 2 million years ago during the time when Atlantis was, the last epoch of Atlantis, advanced Atlantis, was falling. She came to Earth to try to help them, to warn them that they needed to stop the technology use and work with the energies from the heart to ascend, not with technology. They didn't listen to her. She got trapped by the Matre and the Dries, the Greys, and put in this ancient stasis, and she was just trapped there. But she needed to be let out and released and to go on her way from this planet. So that's why I went there. And I couldn't do it physically myself, but I telepathically contacted a group who could get her out.
Excellent.
Yeah, so that's how I kind of figured out the DNA, the light language code sequences. Otherwise, you can't get in. Even astrally, you have to have the same stuff to get in.
That's right, and it's some kind of a phrase that in light language, in ancient galactic language, which has been updated since then. So they are working on the stargates now. So they're updating the stargate language, they're updating the DNA, they're updating all of these things so that they can be in working order. And that would be from the Orions. They're doing that and the Arcturians, Orions, the Syrians, all that group in there. The Pleiadians are now working to just get the information through as well as possible.
Yeah, so you're totally right what you sensed there when you were at these stargates, because screaming at it or poking it won't get you anywhere.
No, it was sort of fun to watch, though.
Yeah, I mean, all humans have their own ideas of how to get in or out of things.
Yes, because one lady just went over and went, and screamed at it. And we just started laughing because it was just amusing.
Yeah, I mean, well, these things have been around for millennia on this planet for a reason, and it should have guards and protection, so not just anybody can enter or leave stuff behind there. I don't know how the Greys got in, because they're not of the positive polarity, but they somehow did, and did things there that they shouldn't have. And then it was closed off.
One of them probably got their DNA in there somehow and stole the phrasing. But what happens when that happens is that the DNA is multiplied through every stargate, so that whoever puts their is able to put their DNA in, it's cloned everywhere, so they can go anywhere they want. And unless it's stopped, or unless one of the officials that run the stargates, one of the skulls somewhere in that area, some intellect in that area, some skull owners can stop it. So I think that's what happened.
Yeah, it was stopped.
Yes, one of the owners of one of the 13 skulls.
Yeah, but this was 2 million years ago. The lady got left behind, and I guess it was forgotten, and then she needed to be retrieved, because 2 million years in stasis, but at some point you gotta leave.
Yep. Wow, she must have been so happy.
Yes, and she has a familial connection to me. So, yeah, she was removed and she's fine. So.
Good, excellent. I'm glad to hear that.
Yeah, so that's how I know about Amaru Muru, and it's like, I was kind of like, I wonder if he's going to mention it today or not.
Yes,
yes. Yeah, it's wonderful. And what have you found in friends visiting in your travels? What's the most interesting thing you found?
That a lot of the energy in a lot of people is the same these days. They're starting to gather the fourth dimensional energy in a way that brings them into alignment with one another. You can always really tell the ones that are not in alignment because their energy is not balanced right. And then it's not that they're not going to be in alignment, but they aren't yet. So I'm finding a lot of alignment in energy, much more than I used to.
And a lot of people ask, what is the ascension process and what's going on with that? What are your thoughts on that?
Okay, there's two things going on here. One is another step in evolution where we become more telepathic, more empathic, telepathic, and communicate in a different way, or start to. That is happening now also, as well as a lifting, a lightness in the spirit and in density. We're changing density through the fourth dimensional portholes now, and at some point many will rise through into the next dimension, but that's not going to happen for a little while. We're still way too dense, but not dense here, but I mean dense here. But the thing is, we're getting closer, and people understand that it's going to take time for the fourth dimensional energy to actually permeate the entire globe, because it hasn't done that yet.
Mm-hmm. People often ask, you have to have a certain percentage for the whole civilization of Earth to ascend. Is that true, or is the ascension an internal thing with each one of us that we have to work on to do?
I think that each one of us has to work on that, but there will come a time where more people are more in alignment together. But I think at this point, there's going to be one go here and one go there. They'll not know what happened to them or whatever. But in the future, 30 or 40 or 50 years, who knows exactly when, I think groups of people will start to rise together.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think of it as that way as well. And when people ask me, what's the ascension? I always tell them, well, work first on your own inner ascension within yourself and what comes out, and, you know, inspire people, because you do affect everybody around you, not just yourself when, you know, when you're on
Exactly.
your path.
It's going to impact, it's going to actually, what the ascension will do will separate the planet. It will divide them into two different actually species. The species that stays behind and the species that advances. And that's happened with several different species, where part of the species advances and part of it doesn't. And this is where you find a lot of this negative attitude toward the ascension, is those that have been left behind are really quite upset about that in some species, in some places, and they want to take revenge on those that are trying to rise. And not only does it keep us down if we don't rise, it helps them to manipulate us better, but it also satisfies their revenge for that the other part of their species rising when they didn't. So that's been a thorn in the side of many species for a while.
Yeah, but I guess those that didn't evolve to such a high degree as the ones that they did,
Right.
it's just going to take them time to get there. It's not that they're inept or bad or whatnot. It's just they need more time.
There are those that understand that and are all right, but there are some that are just not happy about it.
Well, then they need to work on it and catch up at their own rate. That's personal ascension.
Yes, but there are those that are all right with it, of course, because they know what happened and they are working on it and they're trying to get their own thing going. But there's some that don't want to work on it. That's the problem.
And usually there's a lot of places on planets, like it's big planets, enough space for everybody. Why just have your own groups and work on your ascension process?
Right. So, yes. So I agree with that 100%.
Sharing is caring. I mean,
yep.
There's so many, it's not just one universe, there's many universes.
Oh, absolutely. And all different kinds of universes. Fire universes, water universes, gigantic universes, minuscule universes. I mean, you can think of any kind of a universe you want, and it exists. So that's an amazing thing about the creativity of God, is that he is just out there really doing what he wants to do and what he likes to do the most, create.
Yeah, and there's other creator beings that are out there creating and making things happen. So
Sure.
Plenty of planets, no need to worry about not sharing.
Right. I think they just want to keep others down. I don't think they want some of them want the planet, but most of them just want to rule. You know what I mean? They just want to be in charge.
Yeah, the hierarchy, that's the lower vibrational frequency of the old age.
But the ones that are positive don't want anything have to do with anything about taking over the planet. They have no desire whatsoever.
Exactly. So is there anything you would like to share with us, and any final thoughts?
Let's see. I just am knowing that the people that will be listening to this, I hope they understand that they too are part of this. We are all equal in this. We are all sharing together the light that is our soul. We are the soul, and that we are all connected in every way to everyone in the universe. And it's not that they are lower or higher, but we're all working together with this, and that we need to all come to an understanding that the ultimate goal is unity with God. And that unity means unity with one another first. And that is a message that when we start working together as a people, when we start communicating together as a people, when we start understanding the future and God as a people, then we can really move forward in our ascension in a greater way. And remember, you're always ascending, always. Even when you reach the next area, you will be ascending from there as well, and from there as well. It continues forever. You're always going to ascend.
Mm-hmm. And how can people reach you to
I'm
contact you?
at, I'm at jimreiki@gmail.com.
Okay,
That's
good.
yeah, that's how they can get a hold of me. And I do Reiki in my home, but I also do my channeling practice is my main business.
Okay, good. And is that out of your home as well, or do you still
Yes, I
travel?
do it online and I do it in my home. Yes.
Okay. And do you still do speaking events and things like that sometimes?
Every now and then, yes. I think there's going to be more of those in the future. But right now, I just am doing my practice and doing my Reiki. And that I've been told by them that there will be a time when I will be out in the world speaking about different things.
Excellent. I'm so happy we connected and got to talk today. Thank you so
Yes,
much.
I always enjoy talking to you. It's always a pleasure.
As well, and I was really interested in the backstory of how everything started, because when we had our last interview, it was about a lot of different things, but today I wanted to specifically focus on how this came to be for you.
Wonderful. Thank you.
Thank you, and
Have a
I'll
wonderful day
you
and
too.
be blessed and keep rising.
Thank you. You as well, Jim. Bye.
Bye-bye.